Hey, good
Good
morning.
morning.
How are you?
I'm great and yourself?
Sleepy, but I'm here.
Uh,
And I went to bed. I was home early. I think the shock I had I had an event um with some members of my church yesterday and the lady's house. Uh, it was so dark. I was like, I can't see driving to get to her. I said, this is a country mile in the dark. Lord, guide the wheel. I was like, I normally am not out at night like that. Um, and then as soon as I said, okay, let me get it ready, let me go, I had my contacts in and I didn't, which is my fault. Probably should have put some drops in my eyes before because it was like all I saw was the globes around the headlights, like the little circle.
oh,
Oh my God. I was like, and then this place, so I don't ride roller coasters because I don't like the dip. This place had heels like roller coasters. I'm like, oh my
mm-mm.
God, Lord, Lord. It was an adventure getting there and getting home. So I think I'm at the after effects of the stress of getting there and getting home. But other than that, I'm okay.
Okay.
How was your week?
That was pretty good.
Okay, okay. Cool, cool, cool. All right. Well, welcome back to the Saturday morning tea, the sip of tea edition, our little shortened version, where we serve up the real talk our profession needs. I'm Clarice Warner, the girl with the pearls, with my partner in success, Mr. Jesse, the registered trademark. Put some respect on his name, the coding nurse. Sir, introduce yourself and tell the folks all about you.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Jesse. I live in Philadelphia. I've been in healthcare for a long time. I left the bedside in 2014, and during the pandemic in 2020, I created a company, the Coding Nurse LLC, where I help nurses and other people in healthcare with a clinical background transition into the wonderful world of HIM.
Yes. And how is that going?
It's coming along. I have a
Okay.
class going on
Oh, well, go.
now.
We don't necessarily do church announcement, but put your stuff out there, sir. Absolutely.
That's
No?
it.
Okay.
Mm.
Don't you got another one coming? Did
But
you take it, people? Go ahead.
oh, I have another class starting. I think it's Thursday, September 13th. It's September 18th at
Okay.
6 p.m. So to find more information, go to thecodingnurse.com.
There
Thank
you
you.
go. And what kind of class is it?
ICD 10 CM.
Okay. Thank you. Look at that. Now, how hard was that? We could do that in 10 seconds, sir. We are not going to. If you have anything, you absolutely get to. This is our platform for. If nobody does it, we going to do it, right? Right. Okay. Let's see. Good morning, crafty coder, our on the street correspondent. Good morning. Good morning. All right, yeah. So pour yourself something comforting, whatever that may be, because today's sip of tea is anything but soothing. A cybersecurity nightmare. I swear I keep hearing about these left and right. Davita just had something
Yes.
in the news. I'm hearing about them all the time. And that is probably large. I started to add that to this, but I think we'll wait for something else to happen with that one, or have it on its own little special tea. Anyway, a cybersecurity nightmare that turned a respected Ohio health system upside down and left patients fighting for justice. As you come in, don't forget to hit the thumbs up and like button. So today's topic is Kettering Health ransomware. Patients sue over the breach. Hmm. So and Mr. Jesse, jump in however you like. In healthcare, trust is everything. And patients trust their providers with their most intimate health information, their vulnerabilities, their very lives. But what happens when that trust is shattered? Not by medical malpractice, but by cybersecurity negligence. Hmm. Today, we're examining the Kettering Health ransomware attack that crippled one of Ohio's largest health networks for nearly 3 weeks. Sources tell me it was closer to 4, but the article said 3. and the explosive class action lawsuit that followed. Because sometimes protecting patients and their data, well, it could all be so simple if organizations just prioritized the right things. Mhm. So grab yourself your favorite mug, settle in, and let's spill some very important tea about cybersecurity, patient rights, and what happens when healthcare systems make choices that put profits before people. Let me start by painting the picture of what we're dealing with. Kettering Health isn't some small rural clinic. Actually, they're about 45 minutes away from here. Um, this is a massive healthcare network serving Western Ohio with 14 medical centers, over 120 outpatient facilities, and more than 700 board certified providers through their physician network. There's a lot going on up there. So, when you're that size, you're not just responsible for individual patients, you're essentially a healthcare infrastructure for entire communities. People work, people gather, people get their healthcare all within that same organization. Thousands of people depend on you daily for everything from routine checkups to life-saving cancer treatments. Now, in our increasingly digital world, healthcare cybersecurity has become absolutely critical. Electronic health records, imaging systems, pharmacy databases, scheduling platforms, it's all interconnected. And that interconnectedness, while incredibly beneficial for patient care, also creates what we call in the business world a single point of failure. Keep in mind, a side note, I don't know if you've heard, but there's our current administration is pushing hard to uh, make this interconnectedness happen like yesterday. More to come on that. Having think tank discussions and all kinds of stuff is happening in the background because he feels like you guys been talking about this for so long. It's time to make it happen. What are you doing? We're gonna talk about that later. All right. So the thing is, healthcare organizations have known for years that they're prime targets for cyber criminals. Why? Because they hold the crown jewels of personal data, not just names and addresses, but social security numbers, insurance information, medical history, data. It's a one-stop shop for identity thieves. And you know what? Protecting against these attacks, well, it could all be so basic cybersecurity hygiene, regular updates, employee training, network segmentation, robust backup systems. These aren't revolutionary concepts. They're healthcare cybersecurity 101. But as we'll see with Kettering Health, simple doesn't always mean easy, especially when organizations might be cutting corners. Hmm. So on, so on May 20th, 2025, it was a Tuesday morning when Kettering Health's world came crashing down. Imagine arriving at work to find that virtually every computer system in your massive healthcare network has been compromised. Every single one of them. And that's exactly what happened. The attack was swift and devastating. By morning, all 14 medical centers were affected. The call center was down, and critical IT systems were completely inaccessible. The immediate response? Cancel all scheduled inpatient and outpatient procedures for the day. Now, think about what that means. Surgeries canceled, cancer treatments postponed, diagnostic imaging unavailable, staff reverting to pen and paper like it's 1985. Hopefully, they know what to do with that pen and paper like it's 1985. Um, and this wasn't just for a few hours. Like I said, this ordeal lasted, they said, nearly 3 weeks. I have a good source that said it was 4 weeks or more. All right. According to CNN, which obtained a copy of the ransom note,
Mm-mm.
yes, this was the work of the Interlock ransomware group. Now, Interlock isn't some amateur operation. Since emerging in October 2024, they've been linked to at least 16 confirmed attacks, targeting everyone from healthcare providers like DaVita Kidney Dialysis Services to educational institutions like Texas Tech University Health Sciences Center. Their method is what we call double extortion. First, they infiltrate your network and steal your most sensitive data. Then they encrypt everything with ransomware. You're not just paying to get your files back, you're paying to prevent them from publishing all your stolen data on the dark web. And here's where the story gets particularly bitter. Kettering Health made the decision not to pay the ransom. Now, I'm not here to judge whether that was right or wrong. That's, again, a complex ethical decision that is well above my pay grade that every organization has to make. But the consequences of such action were severe. By June 5th, Interlock made good on their threat. They published what they claimed was 941 gigabytes of stolen data. That's 732,490 files spread across 20,418 folders. The stolen information allegedly, the one guy that I watch, he has a button that says allegedly. I need that. Included payroll data, employee files, scanned identity documents, patient files, financial records, and more. Meanwhile, Kettering Health was scrambling to restore systems. It took until June 2nd, nearly 2 weeks, just to get their Epic electronic health record system partially functional. Full restoration of key services didn't happen until June 10th, almost 3 weeks after the initial attack. Now, here's where our tea gets really, really hot. Let me take a sip. Sorry about that. Yeah, I didn't even do my latte today. I had some real straight hot tea today. Because while Kettering Health was focused on technical recovery, patients were suffering in ways that go far beyond inconvenience. The law firm of Wright and Schulte, I'll say Schulte, stepped forward to represent what they say are, quote, hundreds of patients who were adversely affected by this attack. And when I read the details of the lawsuit, because it's public, filed in Montgomery County Common Pleas Court, I have to tell you, it is so sad. It's real, because they're really telling you what happened in the cases of these patients. And because pretty much this health system is really, for some, the only game in town. What you gonna do? How you gonna get care? How you gonna get treatment? So again, we're not talking about people who couldn't check their test results online. We're talking about cancer patients, stage 3 and stage 4 cancer patients who couldn't get their treatments. People with broken bones who couldn't access their x-rays for physical therapy. Patients who had to start their diagnostic processes all over again at other facilities because there's no documentation. There's no record to say this was the treatment that happened prior to me now presenting before you. Attorney Richard Schulte put it bluntly at their press conference. Yeah, they had a whole press conference. Most of Kettering Health's focus has been on data and confidential financial information and what's happened to it. We're motivated to help the people. The lawsuit alleges that Kettering Health was, quote, fully aware of potential dangers of a data breach, end quote, but, quote, failed to take the appropriate steps to protect patients' data and did not comply with regulatory guidance and industry standard cybersecurity practices, end quote. That's a whole lot. And I have on trusted sources that they weren't trying to get no help to do that either. Folks have offered other systems who may or may not have been involved in similar activities, reached out and said, hey, we've been through this. Let us try to help you. Let's try to right this ship and guide you. They were like, no, we good. We cool. Keep your stuff over there. We don't need you. Crazy work. Anyway, and you know what? If these allegations are true, then protecting these patients, it could have all been so simple. Mhm.
As you were talking and you gave the timeline, I'm like, I know somebody who was a patient who was impacted by that, because I knew somebody who was actually going through diagnosis. She was waiting for biopsy results for cancer, and
Mm,
she had to wait weeks. And that was because she had told me that there was a hack, but I never really put it together until now.
mm.
That's when and that was the exact timeline. Yeah.
And so imagine that. Imagine waiting, not knowing what,
Hmm.
it's already the unimaginable feeling of what could be or the possibility of what could be, but then not knowing and having to sit on pins and needles because you don't know which way to go, right? Or, oh my goodness, that's a lot. That's a whole lot. And I don't think those are the things that people think about in these types of situations,
Mm-mm.
unless you are directly impacted.
Right.
But you got to think patients are in healthcare. Patients are your customers, and they should always be your first priority. Their care should always, because you wouldn't be in business without it, right? But anyway, for them, it could all be so simple if they follow industry standards, implement proper security measures, train their staff appropriately, and have robust incident response plans. But here's what really gets to me. The lawsuit claims that Kettering Health has, quote, put profits before people, end quote, in their response to this crisis. So think about that for a moment. When your patients are suffering, when their medical care is disrupted, when their most sensitive data is potentially compromised, what should your priority be other than your patients? So these particular patients are seeking monetary damages, restitution, and injunctive relief. Boom, boom, and boom. And they're probably getting more folks because it's a class action lawsuit. So they're probably getting more folks coming in. I think I read somewhere that there were about 260 folks and counting. But as Ben Schulte said, this lawsuit is, quote, a task of last resort, end quote. They tried working with Kettering Health first. They're hoping that by putting continued pressure on Kettering Health, that they're going to step forward and focus on patient care and getting patients' data back. Wow. That is a mouthful. So where's the stuff? Like, you ain't even get the stuff. So people don't even, so you gotta, so in the case of your friend, that now you gotta go get all of it, a new biopsy, you gotta do all of that again. That is crazy. Crazy. And so sad. Okay. Now, Kettering Health has said they don't comment on on pending litigation, but they have provided updates. As of the time of this recording, they claim their care services are back to normal operations, including radiation oncology services. My chart is functional again. They're working through a, quote, high volume of rescheduling, end quote. But here's the thing, working through doesn't undo the trauma that patients experienced. It doesn't give back those 3 weeks of delayed cancer treatments, and it doesn't restore the peace of mind that comes with knowing your healthcare provider can protect your most sensitive information. Mm. So, again, let's step back and look at the bigger picture here, because this case illustrates some critical issues in healthcare cybersecurity that affect us all. First, there's the question of preparedness. Healthcare organizations have been targets for years. We've heard about this over and over again, and the warning signs have been there. The guidance has been available, yet we continue to see these devastating attacks succeeding. And why? Often it comes down to three factors. Go ahead. You want to?
No, I just really, as you were talking, I'm like, I think that there should be a law that when they have these kinds of breaches, they should they should tell the public exactly how it happened. I
All the
think
facts,
mm-hmm.
all the facts. And stop, playing around and jumping around and no, all the facts. This is crazy.
Yeah.
So it comes down to three factors: underfunding cybersecurity, treating IT security as a cost center rather than a patient safety issue. And it really is. If you think about it, it really truly is.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
failing to understand that in today's healthcare environment, cybersecurity is patient safety. Think about it. If a patient can't access their cancer treatment because the scheduling system is down, how is that different from a medical error? If someone's diabetes management is disrupted because they can't access their electronic health record, isn't that a private safety issue? A patient safety issue, I'm sorry.
Mm.
Second, there's the ethics of ransom payments. Should healthcare organizations pay ransoms? It's tempting to say, quote, never negotiate with terrorists, end quote. But when the terrorists are holding your patient's care hostage, the calculation becomes a little more complex. Some experts argue that paying ransoms only encourages more attacks. Others say that in healthcare, where lives are literally on the line, you do whatever it takes to restore patient care. Unfortunately, there's really no easy answer, but these are some things that folks need to be talking about.
I agree.
hmm But go ahead.
You know, I don't know whether it was it might probably was, I don't know whether it was Instagram or TikTok, but I saw a video talking about um password security. Or I don't
Mm,
and it was interesting, and it was saying that it gave the amount of time based on the number of characters in your password, how long it would take somebody to hack and get
really?
your password. And they were saying that basically the long and the short of it is, if you have a 12 character password, it takes them over, I think it's over a year or more, over, it's like a couple of years to hack it, versus if you have an 8 character password, they can do it in like a month, in a matter of months they could hack it.
Wow.
So I think that that's another step that needs to be implemented.
And that's
And
information that needs to be provided. That should be communicated to people to understand. I know it may be easier to remember what those eight
right.
characters are, but I let
And
my
I
stuff be automatically generated. You do whatever you need to do because
but can
we'll
I
figure it
tell
out later.
you, I tried that, but then every time you got to copy and paste, because I don't like to store my passwords. So I gotta, but getting back to that 8 character, you know how now you get all this info, you get all this protection, and when you sign up for stuff. Do you know my 8 character password was hacked? And
Mm.
I paid for some kind of service, and it gave me exactly what my password was, and it was on the dark web. They found it.
Wow.
This was like maybe a year or so ago. So now I have like crazy long passwords.
So did you get in on the dark web and see what the dark web was about? Look, that's a whole other segment.
But can I tell you, look, people say, look, people
What's
say,
over
look,
there on the dark side?
they say you don't want to mess with it if you don't know what you're doing. So
Oh, okay. Well, never mind.
there you go.
We need to find somebody who's been over there who don't care. Like, what's on the dark side? What's on the dark web? Because it just seems spooky. Not that, and I got a lot of nerve because everything's scary. I'd be like, nope. I don't want to know. I want to see it. But I'm just curious, like, what's actually sitting out there? And like you said, if your stuff is sitting out there, who knows how long it has been sitting out there?
Exactly. I mean, all of our information at some point in time
At
has been
some point, because
compromised.
I know I get all the time those notices like, well, do you want identity protection uh insurance or whatever it is that they offer so and so. And it's not, in those particular cases, it's not just healthcare. It's your banking institutions, it's other places that you have signed up for and gave a password. But as I mentioned earlier, healthcare got it all.
It
Everything you need
does.
is right there in one place. That's why they are prime for these types of attacks, because I ain't gotta be like, okay, well, I'll get your password, then I'll get your health information, then I go over here and get your banking, then I go over. No,
But
everything is right there in one tool.
exactly.
Everything.
Because I know, like in my chart, I have my credit card information. So when I go to the doctor's office, they just go ahead and for my copay, they'll just go ahead and charge it. It's crazy.
Mm-mm-mm.
And then their response, like then these institutions, these places, like 12 months of free credit monitoring is really not it. Like
No,
that's
because
not.
they can sit back in the cut and wait. Like, we already
Don't
know
you
this
think
12
they
months.
know that?
Right.
They know
We
that
come in
too.
24 months later. Boom.
Exactly.
It's crazy. And it's sad that, but that's what you got these people for. You got these oh, what were they called? Because we had one in our department.
Are they the
Um,
ethical hackers?
no, we had a person. Oh, what his job was to kind of think like a criminal type of thing, like reverse engineering. And what did he, oh, he had a specific title, and I can't think of it to save my life right now. And I think they have them like in the government sector too, where people are actually out there working and trying to figure out what
Mm.
the ransomware next best or greatest ransomware thing is going to be, or virus or whatever. But oh, I can't think of the name of it. But anyway, he had that job, and so it should be a lot of people out here, especially in healthcare, where you are vulnerable, because y'all, the way things are going right now, folks, I mean, these systems are closing doors. I've heard a couple of folks say, I don't think our place of employment is going to be here within the next year or two. Like, it's crazy out here in these healthcare streets. Um, and because you're focused on the bottom line or focused on other things, you're making cuts where you shouldn't. Where you shouldn't. And how in the world is it that you're cutting your IT people and your health information people? How in the world? Those people together are the ones that are heavily involved in your data and managing it.
It's just I just think there's a total disregard for what people do and the importance is because that them getting rid of IT and health information people is just like you have these people who tried to divorce coding from CDI. Like it's just great. And I have a little segue about that because uh me and your boy Mr. Krause had an exchange on LinkedIn
What?
over this very same topic because when I tell you they insist on separating coding from CDI, and I just don't know how I don't know how you can do that. I don't know how anybody who has worked in CDI could even sit there with a straight face and say you don't have to know coding. How in the world can you assign a DRG if you don't know coding?
God. And oh my God, that's
And the
crazy.
thing is, the amount of people who were agreeing with him, and I'm like, see, I already like whenever anybody says that, I don't care what you say, you are not good at CDI. You can't because I've said this a gazillion times. They only focus on 5 conditions. That's really all of CDI. And once
Mm.
you get them down, how hard is it? But guess what? But you step outside of that, you don't know what to do because you don't
And
have
there
a
are things that
background.
happen outside of that.
Exactly.
There are a lot of things that happen outside of that.
Exactly.
But and those are the five top earning money conditions. So those are the ones that, again, they want you to focus on. But guess what? outside, to your point, outside of that could be one that actually has some serious dollars involved in it. And if you don't know what to do, you gonna mess all that money up. Mm. Yeah, we're gonna have to talk about that. That's what we're gonna talk about next. How about that? That will be on the next on our stay tuned for the next one. We're gonna get at a whole hour. How about that? Anyway. But here's what I think we can all agree on. Preventing these attacks in the first place should be the priority. I am so tickled right now. And honestly, it could be also simple if organizations would just invest properly in cybersecurity from the beginning, rather than trying to clean up after a disaster. Be proactive, not reactive, right? The third issue is transparency and communication. Mr. Jesse, you hit this on the head. Communication with your patients. When your data is potentially compromised, you deserve to know exactly what information was stolen, when you'll be notified, and what steps are being taken to protect you going forward. Period. Kettering Health has said they'll send notification letters to affected individuals, quote, as soon as possible, end quote. But patients have been waiting months for clear answers, and that's not acceptable. And finally, there's accountability. If healthcare organizations aren't following basic cybersecurity standards, if they're not investing in proper protections, if they're not treating patient data security as an afterthought, then they need to be held accountable. Sometimes, unfortunately, that accountability only comes through lawsuits like this one. Do, 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 do. You know, as I've been researching this story and keep reading about some of these other uh, healthcare organizations involved in data breaches, I keep coming back to something Attorney Schulte said. Quote, these people need instruction, continuity of care, and a plan from Kettering Health System, and they're not getting it. Period. That statement, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
That statement could apply to so many healthcare cybersecurity incidents we've seen. Patients need and deserve better. They need healthcare organizations that prioritize their safety, both physical and digital. They need transparency when things go wrong. They need accountability when organizations fail to meet basic security standards. Go ahead. What were you going to say?
As we've been having this conversation, can I tell you that daggone sound from Law and Order has been in my head the whole time. Dun, dun.
Wait a minute. See, now, you know, it's a line dance somebody to put together that's doing that.
Yes. Yes.
Now, I don't think it's a real dance. I don't think anybody is actually playing that song in any parties, but it's fun and comical to watch.
Yeah, I saw it on TikTok. It's cute too.
Oh my God. I should have had that little thing ready to show. Anyway. So because at the end of the day, it could all be so simple. Protecting patients and their data. It's about making the right choices, investing in the right protections, and always, always putting patients first. If you're a patient at any healthcare organization, here's what you can do right now. First, ask your healthcare providers about their cybersecurity measures. Blow their mind. I start asking them type of questions. And don't be afraid to ask tough questions like, how often do they update their systems? Do they conduct regular security training and auditing? And what's their incident response plan? Second, monitor your own data. Check your medical benefit statements. Watch for suspicious activity on your insurance accounts. Consider credit monitoring services, especially if you've been affected by a healthcare data breach. Third, document everything. If you experience care delays or disruptions due to cybersecurity incidents, keep records, take notes, save communications. This information could be crucial if you need to seek legal recourse. And finally, use your voice. Contact your elected representatives about healthcare cybersecurity standards. They in this game, they playing in this game, for real, for real. Support organizations that are advocating for stronger patient data protections. Share stories like this one to raise awareness. Now, the patients fighting Kettering Health in court right now aren't just fighting for themselves, because people's eyes are on this particular case. They're fighting for all of us. They're fighting for the principle that healthcare organizations have a fundamental duty to protect the people they serve. So let's support them. Let's demand better. Let's make sure that no other patients have to go through what these families have endured. Hmm, hmm. Well, that's a lot to think about, a
It
lot to
is.
consider. What we gonna do? What we gonna do? But here we are.
And
Mr. Go ahead.
this is not the last time it's going to happen.
Absolutely not. Like I said, the bomb just dropped. Now I don't know if it's a lawsuit coming with that, but um, that's something to think about. So, hello.
And I also think that, because I also think about like the breach notification rule as HIPAA, as part of HIPAA. I don't know if some of these people are reporting it as soon as they're supposed to. I really don't.
I know we did and it was such a task. Yes, because there is a time frame, so there are tiers to it. Um, certain things you don't necessarily have to report. There's a number. So if it's 500 or more, you have to report it to the media. And I believe there is a time frame associated with when that is to happen. Um, but I think so many people they're reacting to whatever has happened and trying to follow up and get this and make sure their statement is correct and they're saying and da 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 da. Y'all better get out there and tell them people what's going on and
Hmm.
quit playing. Even some of these smaller breaches, I think again, it could all be so simple if you paid attention. We are that one of those professions that really focus on the details. Pay attention to the details, because some of those smaller things could be building up and you can see a pattern. We watch for trends, we watch for patterns. You may see a pattern that should alert you to, uh-oh, let's make sure we're circling back and providing appropriate education, providing appropriate training, and then making sure we have plans in place to circumvent what could or could not happen as a relate of some of the things that we're seeing. I think and unfortunately, it's I can say it could all be so simple, but it's a lot going on in the background, and I understand that, and I agree to a certain extent. But at some point, somebody has to step back and be watching and monitoring and paying attention to what is actually happening, so that you are proactive and you're protecting versus, oh my God, this happened. What we do now? No, somebody has to be trying to keep their eyes on the prize and their finger on the pulse of what is going on. And when you hear about these things, then go check and see what your house look like. Is my house okay? We good over here? Well, because that could be us. So just make sure it won't be us. And I don't think people do, only because healthcare is losing a lot of money, a lot of things are happening, and so the focus is on that money, 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 money. It's on that almighty dollar. And guess what? You about to lose some more dollars with these lawsuits. So
It's true. And that's a very good point you made, because with all of these, because like the fallout has really already started, but it hasn't hit its peak yet. You
uh-uh.
have places that are already starting to scale down because of the Medicaid budget.
Yep.
And that is going to be that's going to make people vulnerable, because these systems vulnerable, because they really need to make sure that they are keeping the right key people to still protect and preserve patient data, because you can't run through every department the same,
Mm-mm.
or
And
you'll
how
end
often
up
have you
on the
been
news.
somewhere? How often have you been somewhere where you go and you say, okay, well, where's Johnny? Because Johnny used to do so and so and so. Oh, Johnny gone. Well, who's doing so and so? We didn't even know Johnny was doing that. Well, what the how
Because
often does that
that
happen? Too often.
And on a side note, it's not related to security, but what one of my friends works somewhere, and they have this proprietary system internally.
Mhm.
And the I, I think it's like the three people who support it, their company is trying to scale down, so they offer people buyouts. All three of the people who support this internal thing are retiring. Who's your backup? Like, do you even have one? You just
Right.
assume.
And then are you ensuring that those people, because oftentimes, which used to drive me crazy, oftentimes when those buyouts and things like that happen and the people be like, you know what, I'm out, they leave immediately. Would you please make sure that they training somebody, telling somebody, document something? Would you please make sure that there is something that will help the people coming after them continue whatever that work is? They don't. They just be like, all right, enjoy, bye, see you later, da da da. Why? No, because now you have to build it all over again.
And then during that process, it becomes vulnerability if you don't.
Absolutely. Because
If you,
they probably done seen some things or know some things that have happened and could help avoid some of those things so that you can prepare it and make it what it needs to be going forward. This stuff is crazy. Just
and they don't want to. Some of these places don't want to spend the money, because when you have people who have been in place for a while, yes, somebody may take a package, but why not offer them? Listen, we can bring you back as a 1099 consultant for like 6 months, or help with the do something. Like, you gotta.
absolutely. Absolutely. And they don't. They just be like, whoo,
No.
we got that one off the books.
Hmm.
Crazy. All right, y'all. Well, thank you so much for joining us for this important sip of tea, even though we've been all over the world today. As you see, we need some more time. But I have a funeral to go to today, so I'm sorry, I don't have it. If this video opened your eyes to healthcare cybersecurity issues, please give it a thumbs up and share, 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 and share. Remember, sharing is caring. Share it with someone who needs to see it. Subscribe and follow us on our social media for more healthcare insights served with a side of common sense and for more deep dives into the stories that matter to your health and safety, as well as our profession. Keep in mind, when it comes to protecting patients, it could all be so simple if we just choose to make it a priority. Mr. Jesse, do you have any final words?
No, this is a great topic.
Good. Okay. Well, until next time, keep brewing, keep questioning, and keep demanding the healthcare system you deserve. I'm Clarice Warner, the girl with the pearls, and this has been a sip of tea. Remember, be safe, be kind, and don't wish for it, work for it. Until next time, take care. Have a good weekend. Bye.
Bye bye.